go through, and I could go because I needed to push through and take me to the place where I'm this film.
Ballerina is the fifth film in the John Wick franchise, and this installment will see Ana de Armas featured in the highly choreographed fight scenes rather than Reeves, who is only making minor appearances this go around after starring in the first four movies. De Armas plays Eve Macaro, who has many tricks up her sleeve. She's an assassin out to avenge her father's death, but is also very skilled in ballet. And untitled, Ballerina hits theaters this Friday.
She's multi-talented. All right, ahead here at noon, an unexpected visitor at a convenience store.
The elephant who stopped for some snacks. The whole thing was caught on camera.
Ja, 옷을 입고, 야, 옷을 입고요. 옷을 입고. 왜 이렇게 비싸요? 야, 이렇게 비싸? 왜 이렇게 비싸? 아빠냐? 야, 이거 아빠냐?
엄마.
이게 뒤에 아빠냐?
Convenience store owner in Thailand was caught off guard by an unusual thief, a wild elephant.
Watch this. This large animal was caught on a surveillance camera simply walking right into the shop there. He used its trunk to move a freezer and helped himself to some sweet treats while he was hungry. Park rangers were eventually able to coax that big guy away, but not before it ate several bags of dried bananas and peanut snacks, must-haves if you're like a hangry young elephant there.
I mean, snacks, I get it. Snacks are important.
I don't blame them either. Hey, let's talk about the forecast because we got some good news. That flood watch that was in effect through 5 p.m. has been canceled early. The air is kind of stabilized over South Florida. We've been sandwiched in between the rain and we have a ton of clouds. You see how gloomy it looks outside. Without any sunshine to heat us up, we're not getting a lot of instability. So that's why we're not getting a lot of pop-ups. But the potential is there that we'll see a pop-up shower or thunderstorm or two later on today. Coverage no more than about 40%. So that threat for flooding on the way down. Much drier tomorrow. So tomorrow, I think a lot of us will stay dry, 88 degrees, and then back up to 90 by this weekend.
All right, then that does it for right now. Thanks so much for watching.
We're going to see you right back here starting at 3. But remember, you can get the latest news all day long. All you have to do is check out our website, local10.com.
Have a great afternoon. See you at 3.
First at 3, fire on the water. A boat blaze caught on camera in Fort Lauderdale. We're live with the story you saw first on 10.
And a flood watch is canceled. South Florida is seeing a little more dry time today after a wet few days across our area. Your weather authority is here with everything.
Crime alert, a double shooting leaves at least one person dead in the city of Miami overnight, and now the search is on for the shooter.
And Bill blasted what Elon Musk had to say about President Trump's massive spending bill after leaving his role in the administration.
Talking tariffs, the White House saying it's deadline day for countries submitting their proposed trade deals and how it's affecting Wall Street.
Plus, the details just revealed of the suspect accused of carrying out a terror attack on Jewish people in Colorado minutes away.
3 o'clock, the Local 10 News First Cast starts right now.
I'm Christy Kruger.
And I'm Janice Fernandez. Let's get right to your top story at 3. We begin with a boat blaze on Fort Lauderdale waters that you saw first on 10. Firefighters coming together to battle some big flames that erupted on a sailboat on a canal. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
But we are now seeing some video of that fire and hearing from people who saw it all happen. Logan Roy Ramos is joining us live from the scene with the very latest details. And you actually saw the smoke yourself, right, Roy?
Yeah, we were driving east on 595, and you can see that large plume of smoke. This rather large vessel was consumed by this fire rather quickly. And take a look right here behind me. You can see the damage left behind. This is a rather large fire, but as you mentioned, fortunately, no one was injured.
Flames tearing through a 50-foot sailboat docked behind a home off Whale Harbor Lane in Lauderdale, Isles Wednesday.
I came outside, and then I saw smoke from the engine. And I was like, oh my God, that fire!
Angelina and her father the first to hear a fire alarm sound, even trying to put that fire out with a nearby water hose. But in seconds, the large vessel was quickly engulfed in flames.
She said, I hear the alarm. I said, go in the back. So she come out, checking, coming on. Daddy, the water's on fire. I said, oh my gosh.
Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue arriving to the boat just after 11 in the morning. Firefighters seen aggressively battling the blaze, quickly knocking it down with foam and water before it was able to spread to nearby homes and other docked boats.
So whenever you have a boat fire, there's always challenges because there's fuel on board, fiberglass burn. There's a lot of things to mitigate.
Unfortunately, this is the boat fire we told you about in the Fort Lauderdale area recently. It was right off the coast, not far from Port Everglades. A man bailed from his boat before it caught fire. Well, he wasn't injured. The less people, including children, were hurt during this explosion on the Intercoastal on Memorial Day.
Oye, ¿qué tú estás haciendo? Siéntate.
Ấy uống xì rồi. Gãy vàng nhau. Một xuống nhiều quá.
Siéntate.
Phòng nguy có gì đó một xuống nhiều. Ama ya iyi xì rồi. Để hát rồi. Thì sẽ đó. Nó có gì nhiều.
boat.
Oye,
Still
ya
floating
yo
at
fui
this time,
calmo.
Fort
Oye,
Lauderdale
silencio.
Fire and the
Ya,
tower was aboard that vessel.
silencio.
No one was inside
Ya,
of the home
ya me
where
fui
that
calmo.
vessel is docked.
Oye,
Don't know the cause of the fire. Now under
silencio.
investigation by the state fire marshal's office and FWC. Now in Fort Lauderdale, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
All right, Roy, entering now to the weather across South Florida after a double whammy of back-to-back rainy days across the Tri-County area. We're finally seeing a little dry time out there, and the flood watch we've been under has been canceled. And the question, of course, is the rain? Is it coming for good? Is it coming back? What's happening with that rain?
We got the man with the answers. Our certified meteorologist, Brandon Orr, is starting by. So we still got a little bit more, and then we'll be in the clear.
So good news, we're really lowering the rain chance. The Saharan dust is moving in, and I just noticed it on that video that we showed, that haze there on the horizon.
Yeah.
It looks almost like a little fog cloud.
Oye, para ya. Silencio. Silencio ya. Ya vive.
They're getting what we got kind of yesterday, where that rain just doesn't quit, that light to moderate steady rain. For us, the clouds have been thinning out a little bit, so that Saharan dust is moving in from the Bahamas, and it's been kind of eating away at some of the clouds as the day has gone on. And I'm noticing some thin clouds, enough to get some sun through. So our temperatures have boosted up into the middle 80s. We'll fall back into the lower 80s tonight. We'll cap rain chances at about 10%. We'll tolerate that just fine. So no need to continue that flood watch that has since been expired. Air model shows the general trend of most of those showers and thunderstorms, if we do see anything, over towards Naples. Can't rule out tomorrow a stray light shower or two popping up. They have coverage at about 10% for that. Let's go out to the tropics, see what's going on out there. Remember that area we are watching off the southeastern coastline now has a 0% chance of development. Yesterday, we were still wondering if that low that would develop would be offshore. If so, it would have a chance over that warmer water to take on some tropical characteristics. Now that low is expected to develop just inland and stay there, even into eastern North Carolina. So that doesn't give it much chance to develop, so I think we're good to go with that one. The rest of the Atlantic is looking nice and quiet too. Our weather forecast, though, is not quiet all throughout the 7-day forecast. We'll show you when the storms will return. Come up.
All right, Brandon. Sounds good. Now is a good time to download our free Local 10 Weather Authority app where you can track live radar. Just scan the QR code that is right up on your screen or search WPLG in your app store.
And right now, an accountant has been arrested on grand theft charges. According to police, Jose Costa deposited fraudulent checks into his account where he would then sell the money out to other accounts that also belonged to him. Costa is also accused of sending that money to other individuals after the fraudulent checks were then deposited. And he appeared in bond court this morning on those charges of grand theft, fraud, and money and fraud, and also obtaining property under $20,000. This, by the way, not the first time Costa has been accused of theft. Just last year, he was also arrested for allegedly stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from his customers.
Also developing at 3 police are investigating a double shooting that happened in Miami early this morning.
And we've now learned a man was killed while a woman was injured in that gunfire. Local 10's Annalise Garcia is at the scene with the latest on the investigation.
This was a double shooting. 2 people shot, 1 woman taken to the hospital, 1 life lost here this morning. Police have been investigating for hours, telling us the rain all morning long has not been helping their investigation. A deadly shooting in downtown Miami early Wednesday morning. 2 people shot, 1 of which died on scene. It was 5 a.m. Miami police received a call about a woman who had been shot in the area of Northeast 1st Avenue and 6th Street. She had apparently been shot in her legs. Police say that woman called a friend, and that friend called police. When officers arrived, they found 2 people shot, a man and that woman. The man died on the scene.
We don't have any leads on who shot at them. We did find casings on the scene.
The woman was taken to the hospital in stable condition. Police say this all happened at a homeless encampment.
That's his city. That is his city. That's where we sat and smoked and drank that one. That is that city that we were sitting in.
James Bloom spoke to us just before getting emotional with police. He tells us the person who died is a man named Sean.
Nice, really nice guy. Very respectful, outgoing person. Dude, I don't know why something like that would have happened. He was very outgoing. He was a good guy. Dude. He didn't get the shirt off the back of somebody for that.
While police have not confirmed the details of what led to the shooting, Bloom tells us what he believes happened.
There was a hit out on his head because he owed somebody $1,000.
There was
no gun found at the scene, but officers did find casings.
We're asking anybody that has information that was in this area at approximately between 5:45 and 6 a.m. to please call the City of Miami Police Department and give us that information, as it'll be crucial in our investigation.
And as you heard, they are asking for your help. Officers say if you know anything at all, you're urged to give them a call. You can call Miami Police directly. You can also remain anonymous and call Crime Stoppers. That number is 305-471-TIPS. We're in Miami. Annalise Garcia, Local 10 News.
Annalise, thank you for that. And we also have a crime alert to tell you about. We're learning the very latest on a fatal stabbing that happened in Fort Lauderdale. Investigators have now identified that suspect as this man here, 35-year-old Jamal Johnson. Yesterday, Johnson allegedly stabbed the victim in the 100 block of South Andrews Avenue. That victim was rushed to Broward Health Medical Center, where he later died. Johnson appearing before a judge today, where he faces those murder charges and is currently being held without bond.
A well-known Latin music artist is facing additional charges. Chocolate MC, whose real name is Yosvanis Sierra, has now been charged with aggravated battery, robbery, among other charges. Last year, Sierra was arrested after he allegedly kidnapped his ex-girlfriend outside of an apartment building and then drove her to Palm Beach County, where he sexually assaulted her. His bond is yet to be set.
And a man is arrested for allegedly filming a woman in a gas station bathroom. Surveillance video shows this man walking into the women's restroom. And moments later, the victim walks in. Shortly after that, according to investigators, the victim chased that suspect out of the restroom when she realized she was being videotaped. The victim managed to take photos of the suspect's car as well as his license plate before he got out of that scene. Deputies identifying that suspect as Trevin Rembrandt. He had turned himself in and he was arrested for video voyeurism.
Now to the battle over President Trump's massive spending bill. Elon Musk blasting the bill days after leaving his official role in the administration as it faces some Republican opposition in the Senate.
President Trump putting more pressure on Senate Republicans to quickly pass his big, beautiful bill. But the battle is intensifying inside the GOP about the measure, as there are still some holdouts.
I can't, in good conscience, give up every principle that I stand for, every principle that I was elected upon, and that's that we can't accumulate more debt.
And now Trump ally Elon Musk is tearing into the president's signature spending bill. Musk posting on X, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination." Adding the bill will massively increase the already gigantic budget deficit. The White House downplaying it.
The president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
Democrats pouncing on Musk's comments.
Well, I hear something happened while we were at lunch, which led me to make some news here today and say something I didn't think was imaginable. I agree with Elon Musk. If even Elon Musk, who's been part of the whole process and is Trump's buddy, says the bill is bad, you can imagine how bad this bill is.
Sources say Musk was also frustrated about a portion of the bill that would no longer benefit Tesla customers, cutting the electric vehicle tax credit. The package, which Republicans narrowly pushed through the House, extends the 2017 Trump-era tax cuts, sets aside nearly $50 billion to resume construction on the border wall, and pushes work requirements for Medicaid. By some independent estimates, it would add $3.8 trillion to the deficit over the next decade, raising serious concerns.
What I'm concerned about is they didn't cut enough spending as well.
We need to try to reduce spending as much as we possibly can.
Any changes to the bill in the Senate would then have to go back to the House before reaching the president.
And it's a big day for President Trump's tariffs. Steel and aluminum duties are now doubling, and the White House says it is also deadline day for countries submitting proposal of trade deals.
The president expects good deals, and we are on track for that.
The White House says it wants countries to submit their best offers for trade deals by today. That's as the 90-day pause on so-called reciprocal tariffs is set to end July 9th. Some experts question whether the Trump administration can secure numerous trade agreements before then.
Well, the challenge here is, of course, that it is not easy to just quickly make a trade deal. Trade deals are not only about the tariffs on goods, it's also about non-tariff barriers, it's also services, it's also all kinds of other things.
Also today, President Donald Trump is doubling tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. That brings those duties to 50%. Trump says encouraging domestic production of those metals is a matter of national security. A trade group called the Can Manufacturers Institute warns raising the tariff on steel could raise prices at the grocery store. Another new trade warning is from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Its new outlook predicts a 1.2 percentage point slowdown in U.S. GDP growth this year compared to last year, plus another dip down the road. It's also forecasting a 0.4 percentage point hit globally for 2025.
It's quite important that countries get together, see what are their grievances against each other, and get an agreement to lower trade barriers.
Also, it does look like potential talks between the U.S. and China are becoming a bit strained. In fact, yesterday the president said it was, quote, extremely hard to make a deal with the president of China. And there was speculation that the two leaders were going to have some sort of a phone call or maybe a meeting this week, and all the rising tensions. But now the U.S. Treasury Secretary said today the trade talks are stalled. And Local 10 does have a team coverage, of course, out of Washington, with both our D.C. Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy and our Local 10 D.C. Bureau reporter Russ Ketchke. Look for their live reports ahead on Local 10 News beginning at 4 o'clock.
And here's a look now at the numbers on Wall Street. And right now the Dow Jones is unfortunately in the red, but it's really not down by much. It's down by just 13, 12 points there. Still standing strong at 42,507.
And sources say the Trump administration has taken hundreds of migrant children living in the U.S. out of their homes and into government custody. The actions have been described as welfare checks. President Donald Trump and his aides have pointed to what they say was an influx of children arriving in the U.S. at the southern border under the Biden administration without a parent or a guardian. The administration says hundreds of thousands of them went unaccounted for and may be in dangerous situations. But former Biden officials and some immigration experts refute those claims that there are large numbers of children missing from the system.
The wife and children of the Colorado terrorism suspect now in ICE custody, according to the Department of Homeland Security. The family is being processed for expedited removal. Mohammed Solomon was born in Egypt and lived in Kuwait for 17 years before moving to Colorado Springs 3 years ago. Records also show Solomon attempted to purchase a handgun back in November but was denied based on a national criminal background check. He was denied a permit for a handgun a month later. Solomon was arrested Sunday after allegedly throwing Molotov cocktails at a group of protesters during a pro-Israel demonstration in Boulder. He faces a number of charges, including a federal hate crime and 16 counts of first-degree murder.
A friend of Cassie Ventura taking a stand today in the sex trafficking and racketeering case of Sean Diddy Combs. Brianna Bungolan, who is also known as Vanna, testified that Combs attacked her, threatened her, and even said she witnessed violence against Cassie. She says Cassie would often be upset while on the phone with Diddy or appear to have a black eye every now and then. She says that once she saw Combs throw a knife at Ventura's direction and then Ventura threw it right back at him. The third and final alleged victim to testify in the trial is expected to take the stand soon and could be on the stand for up to 5 days. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all charges against him, and if convicted, though, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars.
A new commissioner for District 4 in Miami-Dade has been chosen. The winner of the election is Ralph Rafael Rosado, who beat his opponent Jose Regalado by 11 points. Rosado will replace the late Commissioner Manolo Reyes, who passed away back in April. Rosado is the former manager of North Bay Village. Regalado, who ran against him, is the son of former Miami Mayor Tomas Regalado and current Miami-Dade County Commissioner Raquel Regalado. It's a busy day today, and we're working on so much for you.
So let's fast forward to what you're going to see starting right here on the Local 10 News at 3:30. Deja vu felt by our Florida Panthers. They have a touchdown in Canada and how they're now preparing for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Plus, a legal battle brewing for Eminem as he sues Meta for a whole lot of money. Find out how much he's seeking in damages and why. That's ahead into Top Topics.
But first, this guy sure is feeling cool for the summer. It's a story you'll see in our wild Florida, and it's coming up next in our 3 must-sees.
Ya ves una serie, apoio coisa. Ele está certinho. Eu é vigiando, sei também. Que eu não. Muito ela não decide nada. É agora de como, então, é agora de como. Depois sumou,
For right now, an unexpected guest clawing his way into a family's pool.
Plus, well, some people are moving and grooving. An elephant is going shopping here on 3 Stories. Yeah, see today. First, we'll start with a gator making a surprise visit just in time for summer. It was supposed to be just like any other peaceful Saturday morning. Well, yeah, but then the homeowners came face to face with a nearly 7-foot gator swimming in their backyard pool. The homeowner called the Martin County Sheriff's Office, and they called a gator trapper. The snappy reptile didn't go out without a little bit of a fight, though, and in the end, the gator was wrangled and removed. The homeowner says his yard is fully fenced in, making this gator's entrance kind of a mystery. Experts suspect he somehow climbed over that fence.
A group of elderly Cubans are taking it to the dance floor to ward off blackout moons. A group of 30 or so seniors gathered to take part in a weekly dance class as the island has experienced persistent blackouts. The program is meant to be a fun distraction for seniors.
And convenience store owner in Thailand was caught off guard. Look at this on Monday. A most unusual thief. That wild elephant was caught on surveillance camera walking right up to the shop. It used its trunk to move a freezer, and then it helped itself to some sweet treats. Park rangers were eventually able to coax that elephant away, but not before it ate several bags of what else? Dried bananas and peanut snacks. That is awesome.
It's scary though. You know, I mean, cool, but elephants
Gators,
could be a little scary.
elephants, everybody wants to what we have.
I get
All
it.
right, well look at that. It looks a little bit better. Actually, there are a few people at the beach even now.
Yeah, I hopefully this is going to be a sign of what's to come. I know you said that we finally have sort of reached the tail end of all of that nasty weather.
Yeah, I think we're putting it behind us right now. We're getting a break, and I think we deserve every bit of that because we put up with a lot of rain over the last 3 days. These are some of the highest rainfall totals that we can find out there. Cutler Bay seems to be at the top spot. That's the jackpot, I guess. 7.86 inches of rain, nearly 8 inches of rain in just the last 3 days. Deerfield Beach, so not just Miami-Dade, but Broward County got it too, was at 7.82. Key Largo, so even down into the Keys, more than 7 inches of rainfall. So it was fairly widespread. This is the big soaking rain that we needed to help us out of this drought situation we've been in. We'll get an update to the drought monitor tomorrow, and I think it's going to go down, at least some. Naples is where they're getting the nasty weather today. They're getting exactly what we had at this time yesterday. That steady, light to moderate rain that just does not let up. Even a few lightning strikes coming out of it, that's where the rain is going to stay. For us, we have some Saharan dust that's been moving in, drying out the atmosphere. You'll notice that thicker haze there on the horizon. It's been eaten away at a lot of the cloud cover too, so that's thinning out somewhat, and you'll be able to see at least some sun. Yeah, we got some shadows coming from the palm trees at Hollywood Beach. Not too bad. Things drying up nicely. Wind is lighter than what it was earlier today, coming in out of the south. We are getting temperatures up there too now that we have some sun to go along with it. At least the thin sun that we do have. 86 in Miami, 87 in Pembroke Pines, so we're climbing up closer to average. A good 10, 11, 12 degrees warmer than when we had all that rain around this time yesterday. So today is a much better day. We'll keep rain chances at about 10%. Can't rule out a stray pop-up shower or two. Same case going into tomorrow. I think our model is keeping most of that to our west, out towards Naples. So I don't think we'll have a big issue with rain overnight. But even by tomorrow morning, you still can't rule out 1 or 2 stray little pop-up showers. So that's why we're keeping at least that 10% chance of rain in for tomorrow. 88 degrees is going to be our high temperature. So we're closing in on 90, and we'll probably hit that by the time we get around to the weekend. There's that Saharan dust moving in. It's right on top of us right now. It's that dust that blows off the deserts of Africa, makes its way across the Atlantic. It's very typical for us to see it, so it's nothing too unusual. And this is about the time where that Saharan dust season kicks up. It leads to fewer thunderstorms, that less blue, milky type of sky dries out the atmosphere. It's also why we're seeing some drier weather today compared to even yesterday. It's certainly helping things out. And it'll stick around in light amounts over the next couple of days. So I don't see big impacts to our air quality. It really thins out by the time we get around to the weekend. And I don't think it's going to be as problematic by then. We're back to our normal pattern. Just a few pop-ups each afternoon. Coverage at about 30%. High temperatures straddling about 90, 91 degrees. Our next big pushy showers and thunderstorms will not arrive until early next week, so that's coming after the weekend.
All right, but after the break, an emotional reunion.
The heartwarming moment, a man sees the guy who helped him cross a very busy street last night.
Mai bây giờ thì nó một triệu nhiều nhiều ấy là hơn nhiều nếu một triệu nhiều
Ê, silêncio.
ông tất tổng một cái gì xíu
Oye, para. ¿Cuántas veces?
So finally at 3, one of Omaha's busiest intersections had a simple act of kindness happen there, and it's captured so many hearts.
It all started when a delivery driver spotted a man in a wheelchair struggling to cross the street. Tuan was born with a physical disability that makes him wheelchair bound. He used to have an electric wheelchair which made getting around easier, but that broke, and now he has to use a manual chair. He says without help, he cannot cross the intersection safely. And that's where Jawan Hall comes in. Jawan says he was finishing a delivery when he decided to help.
Especially with this intersection, and it's kind of like an incline, so it would have been a lot for him to get it through it, but I was just glad I was there to help him.
The two have since reunited where Jawan helped Tuan cross the intersection safely. That is so sweet.
Yeah, you know what? Simple acts of kindness can go so far.
I mean, yeah, it's so simple to do, and I'm sure it made all the difference for him. That's going to do it for your first cast of dreams.
And here's what we're working on for you starting in a couple minutes at 3:30. The Florida Panthers chasing the Cup. We are live and now they're getting ready for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final Series rematch.
Plus, missing mystery, the search now on for a man who vanished in Davie. We have his family's emotional plea to the public.
And the charges 2 people are now facing after allegedly trafficking drugs right in front of a child.
Those stories and so much more coming up on Local 10 News at 3:30.
Sí, nos cuesta hablando todo el día. Vaya, pues vaya a dormir.
Off the top at 3:30, it is game night for the Panthers.
Can't wait. Cats getting ready to start the Stanley Cup final in Edmonton. And look, then Casey Hintz is joining us. She's live in Edmonton with the very latest. All right, we are ready for the big night. Casey, are you?
Oh, are you kidding me? We are so ready. We're just a few hours away from puck drop here. I'm outside of Rogers Place right now, and I'm actually in a place we call the Moss Pit. And come game time, there is going to be thousands of fans packing in here, watching the game on the big screens, and that's going to create quite the atmosphere outside of the arena. But we know it is going to be insane inside, and that's actually one of the things we talk about with this rematch between the Oilers and the Panthers is that the Cats are starting on the road this year. The Oilers with home ice advantage, but the Panthers, of course, have been road rats this postseason. They've gone 8-2 away from home, including winning 5 straight right now. And now the guys know it is going to be rocking inside that arena. But Panthers forward Evan Rodriguez says you have to embrace it. You've grinded your whole life to get to this moment, so you just have to enjoy looking into that crowd and just embracing it.
Don't be afraid of it. I think that's the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is, being afraid or being nervous, because, I don't believe you'll play your best hockey like that. You gotta love what you do. You gotta love having the chance to, fulfill a childhood dream, and you just gotta enjoy every moment of it.
Come in here and your ears are ringing, so that means playoff hockey is here. And it's super loud building to play in great atmosphere.
Well, we can't wait to see that atmosphere. Like I mentioned, just about 2.5 hours away from puck drop, and something that I've enjoyed seeing this group. It's just such a business-like mentality. Of course, this is their 3rd straight trip to a Stanley Cup final. The Cats looking to repeat, and if you were wondering just what that motivation looks like for this group, well, Matthew Tkachuk said, "It's the Stanley Cup. There's nothing more motivating in sports." So the guys are hungry to get after this one.
All right, Casey, we are looking forward to it. We're hoping for a big Panthers win tonight. All right, we'll check back in with you later. Police are asking for your help after a missing mystery in Davie. They're looking for a man who was last seen over the weekend. Local times Michaela Hightower is live on Plantation, where his family is searching for him right now.
This family is desperate for answers. They say their son walked out the door Sunday around midnight and was later spotted here at the Fountain Shopping Complex in Plantation. They're asking anybody to check their cameras, businesses as well. We want to show you what Hunter Gutierrez looks like. Take a good look at your screen. This is Hunter. He's 30 years old, but the family says he has a younger appearance and could look around 20 to 25 years old. His family believes he was last seen around 6 to 7 p.m. at the Fountain. A man reached out to the family stating that they have saw Hunter here barefoot. An important detail if you may have come by him. They say he's about 5'11". Hunter's parents say he walks with a limp or maybe a unique gait. He says they left their home in Davie in the area of Flamingo and Orange Drive. The main road, though, is Griffin. Hunter may be wearing a dark blue t-shirt, gray shorts, and the family believes some places that he could be seen, maybe homeless shelters, churches, parks. Again, the family pleading with the public to help, and they also have a message for Hunter if Hunter, you are watching.
Lola, you need to come home.
We need you home. Everybody wants you home.
can make better. We're devastated. You know, we want him home. You know, we want to be able to take care of whatever he's feeling and work from there.
The family said that Hunter may have a different appearance as it's been a couple of days since he has been gone. He may have facial hair. They say if you see him and you're unsure that it's him, to at least take a photo, take a video. They just want to make sure that he is okay and that he is alive. The family saying that a lot of things could have contributed to him walking out of the door on Sunday at midnight. They say he is feeling a lot of emotions right now. They are coming up on an anniversary of his brother passing away, as well as the family's pet recently passing away as well. They're asking you to check your Ring doorbell video and as well as businesses. That is the very latest. Reporting in Plantation, Michaela Hightower, Local 10 News.
And here's how to look at Raymond Gutierrez. If you have any information about his whereabouts, please contact Davie Police right away.
And now to an alarming arrest of a teacher and her husband, both facing child abuse charges. They're accused of trafficking drugs right in front of their 17-year-old daughter. Local 10's Trent Kelly is in Miami. The Gardens, actually, with the disturbing details.
That couple was arrested on Monday. Local 10 learning the woman worked as a teacher here in Miami-Dade County, rotating across several different schools. Police arresting that couple after they say they trafficked large amounts of drugs, including meth and heroin, right in front of their 17-year-old daughter. 2 adults, including a Miami-Dade teacher, now in trouble with the law, accused of trafficking large amounts of drugs right in front of their teenage daughter. Police arresting 48-year-old Peter Larson on 18 felony drug charges. Both he and his wife, 47-year-old Sharon Larson, are also each facing a child abuse charge. Officers arresting the couple on Monday after conducting a series of undercover buys from the couple's Hialeah apartment. On one occasion, investigators say an unknown juvenile female, later identified as their 17-year-old daughter, was seen lying on the couch, and a second time using a computer. They say Sharon was also present for at least one drug deal. After obtaining a search warrant for their apartment, officers say they found more than 1,400 grams of a meth fentanyl mixture, 50 grams of cocaine, 75 grams of liquid cocaine, plus more than 60 grams of heroin, 35 THC cartridges, 90 grams of Xanax, and nearly 170 grams of suspected fentanyl pills. Investigators also discovering more than $10,000 cash inside vacuum-sealed containers and another 10 grand inside a safe. The couple appearing in bond court yesterday, Sharon Larson, visibly distraught and shaking.
According to the arrest affidavit, she's a teacher. Her husband's dealing drugs out of the house while their 17-year-old is present.
In a statement, the school district says they are profoundly troubled by the allegations leading to Sharon's arrest, adding that while the incident is not school-related, they have started termination proceedings and will make sure she cannot seek future employment with the district. And Sharon Larson has since bonded out of jail. As part of her release, she is no longer allowed any unsupervised contact with her daughter. Her husband, meantime, remains locked up on a $170,000 bond. In addition to their criminal cases, the couple also has a hearing scheduled in juvenile court regarding their daughter, that's set to happen later this month. Trent Kelly, Local 10 News.
Okay, and turning to a safety alert, a man is facing a federal charge after investigators say he used social media to profit off of child sexual abuse. Angel Gabriel Gonzalez is accused of receiving money through payment apps for child sexual abuse material. According to investigators, Gonzalez would facilitate FaceTime calls with underage girls who would perform lewd acts for the purchaser. He is now facing a charge of possession of child pornography.
And a convicted felon is accused of attacking a woman at a Publix bus stop, and that happened in Miami. According to police, Wayne Dillon is accused of using a wooden stick to hit that woman in the head. The woman was rushed to Jackson Memorial Hospital. No word yet on how she's doing. Investigators do say Dillon's criminal history dates as far back as 2018. He faces a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon.
A Miami woman was arrested on a robbery charge after a bizarre incident at a laundromat. It happened at a ARW Coin Laundry in the city's Alapata neighborhood. Police say 32-year-old Marilyn Hernandez argued with staff and other customers after she was convinced someone had moved her clothes to a different washing machine. She reportedly slapped someone in the face with an article of clothing, then stole his clothes and drove off in a Nissan Altima. Eventually, police went to her house and got the clothes back and placed the suspect in handcuffs. She was held in jail on a $2,500 bond.
Across Florida, a man detained by the Secret Service after authorities say he jumped over a wall at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. 23-year-old Anthony Thomas Reyes allegedly told law enforcement that he tried to get onto that property so that he could, quote, spread the gospel and marry Quiet Trump, who is the president's 18-year-old granddaughter. Reyes was then arrested and booked on trespassing charges. He was being held on a $50,000 bond while pleading not guilty in court. This is not, by the way, the first time he reportedly trespassed either. His arrest report states he was previously caught trespassing at Mar-a-Lago in December of last year. And coming up right here on Local 10 News, a stabbing arrest.
The video you need to see showing the exact moment two suspects are placed in handcuffs all new at 4.
But first, a pathogen plot. The Local 10 update you need to hear about after 2 Chinese nationals are accused of smuggling a dangerous fungus into the U.S. We have that story for you now. Across America, charges have officially been filed against 2 Chinese nationals who are accused of smuggling a biological pathogen into the United States. Officials say last July, one of those suspects was caught with this fungus hidden in his luggage at the Detroit airport. He admitted to smuggling the fungus to conduct research, he said, on it at the University of Michigan with his girlfriend, who allegedly had information about loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party.
You had a member of the Communist Party who had a Chinese researcher working for her in a U.S. university on a pathogen that is known to be deadly to crops and to human beings. Why were they doing it? Why did they lie?
Well, those are good questions. And the fungus targets crops like wheat, barley, maize, and rice and causes billions of dollars in damages worldwide every year. The pathogen can cause vomiting, liver damage, and even birth defects in humans. The University of Michigan says it's cooperating with this investigation and received no funding from the Chinese government for this kind of research.
An arrest has been made after a car bombing outside of a California fertility clinic. Police say the prime suspect, 25-year-old Guy Marcus, died at the scene, but another man linked to the case was arrested at New York's JFK Airport last night. It's 32-year-old Daniel Park, police say. He helped provide materials used in the attack last month, and authorities have charged him with domestic terrorism. Park will appear in federal court today before being extradited to California to face those charges.
Meantime, in Germany, more than 20,000 people have had to be evacuated from their homes after 3 massive unexploded bombs from World War II were discovered this week. City officials say the American bombs that weigh 20 tons were found in a shipyard, and that this is the city of Cologne's largest evacuation since World War II. The discovery of these unexploded weapons frequently happens in the city, which was decimated by Allied bombing during the war.
All right. Looks like the sun is starting to come out a little bit in some areas.
Look at that. The sun is out on Hollywood Beach. The Broadwalk is open for business now.
Sunshine's coming back, Brandon.
That's what we want to see, especially by the time we get around to the weekend here in a few days. We want that sun to continue because we put up with enough rain over the last few days. We needed the rain, sure, yeah. We were in that drought, but we got plenty of it. We could use a break until our next round of rain moves in. We're already watching the next round on the 7-day forecast. In the meantime, most of the showers and thunderstorms today over on the Gulf Coast side. That's Marco Island to Naples to Fort Myers. What a nasty afternoon out there. It's been that way for several hours now, just that steady rain that we had yesterday. For us, the clouds have been thinning out somewhat, and we're seeing some of that sun break out, and it may not be a full blue sky out there, but hey, we'll take what we can get. It's surely nicer than the last few days. This is at Hillsborough Beach, northern Broward County, getting some sun filtering through, so we'll call it filtered sunshine. It's a combo of the leftover thin clouds that we have, but also all that Saharan dust that's out there too, giving us that haze. You can see it out there on the horizon. 86 is where we're sitting in Miami. 87 across inland spots like over towards Pembroke Pines, where we have maybe a touch more sun than others. So we're getting the temperatures up. This is a nice change from yesterday. Good 9, 10, 12 degrees warmer than this time yesterday in parts of South Florida. We're topping things out right now, though. This is about our high temperature, and then we'll fall as we get to the evening into the lower 80s. Chance of rain no more than 10% though. Straight shower, and that's it. Here's our new computer model. This is a brand new model run that just came in just a moment ago, and it's keeping us mostly dry as we'd expect. But you notice as we get past midnight, there's 1 or 2 showers every so often that try and pop up. Even with the Saharan dust around, it is the rainy season. It doesn't take a whole lot to get a straight pop-up or 2. So we're going to keep that 10% in there. High temperatures tomorrow right around 88 degrees. The most dust that's moving through is about today into tomorrow. It's moderate to average, and then we'll slowly trend down as the week goes on, especially as we get into the weekend. So I don't think we're going to see big issues with air quality or anything like that. This is the first push of Saharan dust moving in, but I wouldn't consider it a major push. Really thinning out by this weekend, so we're back to normal. High temperatures right around 91 degrees both days. 30% chance of a few pop-ups each afternoon, but I'm not expecting anything too crazy of a washout. Our average high temperature is 89 degrees. So even though the 90s look hot, and I mean it is hot, 90, 91 degrees, especially with our South Florida humidity, we're only a couple of degrees above average here. Higher rain chances move in early next week. So after the weekend, you'll notice it going 40% on Monday, 50% Tuesday and Wednesday. We're back to those big time afternoon showers and thunderstorms, but I think we'll get past the weekend for that.
All right, sounds good. Making your health headlines today. The FBI plans to investigate healthcare providers who offer gender-affirming surgeries for minors. The Bureau claims that they are breaking the law by doing so, but experts weighing in say the FBI's push is actually not backed by federal law. They believe the FBI's plan is intended to just scare healthcare providers away from offering those kinds of services. Nearly 30 states have passed legislation banning gender-affirming surgeries for minors, and that does include us here in Florida. And as measles cases continue to climb all across the country, researchers are now using some sewage wastewater to track the virus. Remember, we did this during COVID. Sewage is being virus particles that help identify early signs of increasing transmission of the measles cases can potentially be identified days before any people end up showing symptoms or before they even need to go see a doctor. Health experts hope the early detection, along with highly effective vaccines, will help curb the quick rise in these cases. More than 1,100 measles cases have been reported in the U.S. alone, with the vast majority of them coming from Texas.
Spending on Father's Day is expected to reach a record $24 billion this year, according to the National Retail Federation. That's way up from last year's spending of $22.4 billion. The average person plans to drop about $200. Consumers expected to purchase greeting cards, clothing, a special outing, and gift cards. Father's Day this year is Sunday, June 15th. And if you're looking for a Father's Day gift, the Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out here in the US tomorrow, as Dad likes to play. Starting at midnight, people can buy them for $400, which is more than the first generation model's $300 price. The Switch 2 comes 8 years after the first one was created.
And right after the break, well, we've been talking about dads. Let's talk about girl power. Find out who made the list for richest women in America. That's ahead in your pop topic.
Rồi ơi cô à.
Ủa, xíu ổn chứ. Tắt chứ gì à.
It's time to have your pop topics.
Eden is running us here in the studio with everything you need to know in the world of pop culture. So much to get into today, and we're starting off with Eminem. The rapper is suing Meta for a whopping $109 million. He's accusing the tech company of copyright infringement, alleging Meta violated the copyright of 243 songs from his catalog through the unauthorized storage, reproduction, and exploitation of his tracks. The lawsuit says Meta's apps like Facebook and Instagram feature original audio and reels that, quote, encourage its users to steal his music without proper attribution. Meta declined to comment on this case. And Jessie J is opening up about her health. The British singer says that she's been diagnosed with breast cancer. The 37-year-old star, whose real name is Jessica Ellen Cornish, broke the news in a video posted on Instagram. In seemingly high spirits, she said that the cancer has been caught early and that she has been in and out of tests and will soon undergo surgery. In her caption, Jessie joked that if it was soon to make a remix called Living My Best Life, a nod to her single titled Living My Best Life, which dropped just last month. And despite having a net worth of more than $1 billion, YouTuber Mr. Beast is borrowing money from his mother to pay for his upcoming wedding. He says that he personally has very little money because it's held up. And Mr. Beast says that he reinvests in a lot of different things and predicts that he will spend $250 million this year on his content. The creator's real name is Jimmy Donaldson, rose to fame by sharing over-the-top stunts and challenges that award winners with up to millions of dollars. He and his fiancée said that they were thinking of having a small island ceremony instead of something extravagant, considering he's not paying for it himself. Well, Forbes is out with its annual list of America's richest self-made women, and the highest-ranked celebrity is none other than media mogul and philanthropist Oprah Winfrey. She is placed at number 13 on the list with a net worth of $3.1 billion. That's according to Forbes, of course. Kim Kardashian is at number 19 with $1.7 billion, followed by singer-songwriter Taylor Swift at number 21 with $1.6 billion. Singers Selena Gomez, Rihanna, Madonna, and Beyonce also among the richest female celebrities. What do they say? Who runs the world? Girls. I know. Rihanna and Selena helped them with the makeup line. I was going to say, they have really invested in all these different makeup line. That's what money is. Makeup line, skin line, all the stuff. Skincare, whatever. All of it. All right. Well, after the break, a 4-year-old is turning heads with his passion for putting the pedal to the metal. We'll introduce him to you on the other side of the break. A Massachusetts 4-year-old is turning heads with his impressive ability to do bike stunts. Oh, look at that. Well, many parents prepare their children for the day. They start with, of course, riding a bike like us with Jace. He is already a daredevil on wheels over the last few years. He participated in several Massachusetts parades, leading people stunned. He, of course, had many questions for his parents, including, how and when did he get so good?
Right about the same time he started crawling, he was using his form of transportation around the house would be a balance bike.
At first I was nervous, but once I seen him fall a couple times and just get right back on the bike, got comfortable with it, and I have trust in him.
Okay, well, Jace, of course, has quite a following on social media, which is run by his parents. Of course, you can look it up on Instagram at Hot Rod Jace. All I can think about is the practice and the trial and error to get that I mean, you guys are all parents. I don't know how you feel seeing like your little one practice things like that.
I like him steering with his feet. That's kind of like Janice. That's how she drives sometimes.
No way.
Let's just live to tell the tale. Well,
For now. Get out of here.
No driving with me.
Thanks a lot, the guys. And now at 4 o'clock, a boat caught on camera going up in flames in Fort Lauderdale. It's video you saw exclusively, first on 10.
The sun's starting to peek out today after 2 days of relentless rain. Our weather authority has more on when the wet weather will come back.
And a person killed and another injured after a double shooting in Miami early this morning. We have the latest on the investigation.
President Donald Trump speaking to Russian President Vladimir Putin after Ukrainian drone strikes over the weekend.
And meanwhile, President Trump's budget bill is facing an uphill battle in the Senate as debate continues over what should be in the bill and what should be cut out.
Chasing the cup, the Panthers taking on the Edmonton Oilers tonight in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. The news at 4 starts now.
The one and only Local 10 News starts right now. And right now at 4 o'clock, a boat catching fire in Fort Lauderdale, going up in flames right behind a home.
It's a story you saw exclusively first on Local 10. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live in Fort Lauderdale with the latest details. Roy.
Nicole and Calvin, this fire consumed this 50-foot sailboat rather quickly. Take a look at the damage it left behind here. Fortunately, those firefighters were able to show up, put this fire out before it spread to the dock and nearby boats. Flames tearing through a 50-foot sailboat docked behind a home on Whale Harbor Lane in Lauderdale Isles Wednesday.
I came outside and then I saw smoke from the engine. And I was like, oh my God, is that fire?
Angelina and her father, the first to hear a fire alarm sound, even trying to put that fire out with a nearby water hose. But in seconds, the large vessel was quickly engulfed in flames.
She said, I hear the alarm. I said, go in the box. I said, come out, check it, come on. God, the boat is on fire. I said, oh my God.
Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue arriving to the boat just after 11 in the morning. Firefighters seen aggressively battling the blaze, quickly knocking it down with foam and water before it was able to spread to nearby homes and other docked boats.
So whenever you have a boat fire, there's always challenges because there's fuel on board, fiberglass burns really quick, really hot. So there's a lot of things to mitigate.
Unfortunately, this is now the 4th boat fire we've told you about in the Fort Lauderdale area recently. It was just last week, right off the coast, not far from Port Everglades, a man bailed from his boat before it caught fire. While he wasn't injured, 11 people, including 2 children, were hurt during this boat explosion on the Intercoastal on Memorial Day. And in December, this boat explosion rocked the Fort Lauderdale Marina off 15th Street, killing 1 person and injuring 6 others.
There's nothing at this time to link this boat fire to the other recent boat fires we've had.
And as we come back out live, the damage here, when we spoke with Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue, they tell us that there was no one aboard that vessel at the time that fire broke out, so no reported injuries at this time, but the official cause of the fire is now under investigation by the State Fire Marshal's Office and FWC. But now in Fort Lauderdale, Roy Ramos, Local 10 News.
Okay, Roy, thank you. After 2 days of relentless rain, the sun's starting to shine through this afternoon.
But when will the rain make a return? Let's bring in our Weather Authority meteorologist, Brandon Orr. No rain, but the heat, as we're looking to. Yeah, oh my.
Yeah, this weekend for sure. But it's a trade-off. You either get the rain and the cooler air in the 70s like we did yesterday. That was a nice break. Or you get the drier weather and then we crank up the heat. That's exactly what we have in the coming days because we are getting rid of the rain. We still have some decent rain over on the Gulf Coast. They're getting the same stuff that we had around yesterday. That relentless light to moderate steady rain. Naples, Marco Island up to Fort Myers. Here on the East Coast, we had some stable air movement today.
Mamá, ya para.
Prevented temperatures from skyrocketing into the 90s, so no fuel to develop those thunderstorms. We're staying pretty capped, so no showers or thunderstorms really popping up on top of us. Still could get 1 or 2 stray showers to develop. That's what that 10% is for, but I think we're doing just fine. We are over all the big rains, and it looks like that's finally moving out. As we go over to your tropical update, there's really not much to speak of. We were watching that one area that was off the southeastern coast, but that should move out of here. We're going to have more with Michael coming up on that here in a bit.
All right, thank you, Brandon. An investigation is underway after a double shooting in Miami. It happened in the area of Northwest 1st Avenue and 6th Street. According to police, officers received reports of a woman that had been shot in the legs. The woman was rushed to Jackson Memorial Hospital's Ryder Trauma Center, and another man died at the scene. We spoke to a man who knew that victim and says his name was Sean.
Nice, really nice guy. Very respectful, upgoing person, dude. I don't know why something like that would happen. He was very outgoing.
Even good guys, you get the shirt off the back of somebody from that too.
We're still working to get an update on the Women's Commission. Meantime, if you have any information, call Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers.
And now to Washington, President Trump says he spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin today about the war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, higher tariffs are making headlines again. Our DC Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy live in Washington today with much more.
Look out, we'll get the tariffs in just a bit, but first, this is the second time Trump spoke with Putin in a matter of days. This time, the focus was on Iran and the recent drone attack by Ukraine, with Putin saying that he will respond. In a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today, President Trump said they discussed the recent attack by Ukraine, when drones targeted 4 Russian military airfields and destroyed dozens of warplanes and crippling nuclear-capable bombers. On social media, Trump said Putin told him very strongly that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields, adding their conversation will not be one that will lead to immediate peace. Meanwhile, the commander-in-chief signed an executive order to double steel and aluminum tariffs on America's trading partners from 25 to 50%, which took effect today. If you don't have steel, the levy is authorized under a 1962 law designed to protect national security. It aims to counter low-priced foreign material that Trump says undermines U.S. manufacturers.
He's unafraid to use tariffs to protect our industries and protect our workers.
But economists warn the higher tax could raise prices from cars to cans to washing machines. As the EU's trade commissioner adds, this increased tax does not help trade negotiations.
The consultations on the countermeasures are ongoing. They will be completed very soon.
And America's neighbors to the north is also reacting and responding. On tariffs, Premier is urging his government to retaliate with tariffs of their own against the U.S. in response to this latest round of tariffs by Trump. Nicole Collins.
Okay, Ben, thanks a lot. A live look right now. Closing numbers on Wall Street. The Dow closing just 5 minutes ago. Down today, 91 points, closing at 42,427.
A new report shows President Trump's tax cuts and spending bill could add trillions of dollars to the national deficit in the next decade and cause millions of Americans to lose their health insurance coverage. Local 10's Ross Ketchke is live in Washington, where the bill is facing a lot of questions in the Senate. Ross.
Yeah, that report is coming from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Also coming as the White House is now beginning to meet with some of those Republican senators who say they have big concerns over President Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill.
I don't want to be critical of the bill. I want to take something that's fundamentally sound project, make it better to get the 51 votes we need in the Senate.
A new report from the Congressional Budget Office estimates President Trump's massive policy bill would add nearly $2.5 trillion to the national debt in the next decade. Senate conservatives saying they want to see more spending slash before it gets passed.
What I'm concerned about is they didn't cut enough spending.
The CBO also estimates the bill would cause nearly 11 million people to lose their health coverage, most of them citizens or people in the country legally. Democratic leaders calling the bill an attempt to strangle healthcare.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's the intention of the Republican bill.
The bill is designed to deliver on the president's biggest policy goals, including tightening regulations on social programs, extending tax cuts, and spending billions of dollars on border security. The Senate has to strike a delicate balance. Any changes will have to go back to the House, where the bill only passed by a single vote last month.
Y'all heard my metaphor. I'm crossing the Grand Canyon on people that don't realize they can't load me down on either side.
And Florida Senator Rick Scott is one of those Senate Republicans who've raised concerns over the price tag of the bill. The White House is just beginning to meet with some of those senators to try to figure out a path forward and see how exactly they can get this bill through Congress with minimal changes.
And Ross, one of the president's closest allies, we're not been shy about criticizing the bill. What is Elon Musk saying about it?
Yeah, this is all coming just a few days after Elon Musk stepped away from his official role as part of the Trump administration, leading the Department of Government Efficiency for the last 48 hours or so. He has just been tearing into this bill on social media. Yesterday, he called it a disgusting abomination, and today he urged Congress to kill the bill, citing to the concerns over its raising the national debt by potentially trillions of dollars over the next decade. Live in Washington, Ross Ketchke, Local 10 News.
Even a lot of hesitation from members of the GOP. Thanks a lot to Ross. And right now, a man detained by the Secret Service after authorities say that he jumped over a wall in President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Anthony Thomas Reyes allegedly told law enforcement that he tried to get onto the property so he could, quote, spread the gospel and marry Kai Trump, who is the president's 18-year-old granddaughter. Reyes has been booked on trespassing charges and a $50,000 bond after pleading not guilty in court. The time is 4:08, and we are watching a crash on the Palmetto Expressway.
That means there's a whole lot of traffic coming with that, right, Janice?
There is a lot of traffic, a whole lot of red on our maps. I do want to first give you a live look of I-95, though, in Miami. So right now you're looking at the northbound and southbound lanes at Northwest 125th Street. And look at the northbound lanes. These are actually looking pretty good at this time. Usually I-95 starts to get really congested, and we are starting to see a slowdown as you're heading northbound, but it's actually looking much better than what we usually see at this time. Southbound, nothing to worry about. You can see cars are just zooming on by. Let's talk about that crash, though, on the Palmetto Expressway. This is going to be as you're heading eastbound on the Palmetto, approaching Northwest 57th Avenue. We unfortunately have a right lane blocked, and we are seeing a lot of red on our maps. It's actually right over on the big curve as well, so do expect to get stuck in traffic pretty soon if you're on the Palmetto Expressway with your speed clocking in at just 10 miles per hour.
All right, Denise, thank you. It has finally arrived. It's game night for the Stanley Cup Final.
The Panthers will take on Edmonton again, and the puck drops in just a few hours. The local 10 sports director Will Manso live down at Edmonton with a preview. Hey, Will.
Calvin, it goes like we never left, right? It seems like we were just here yesterday, but yes, a year ago, and here we are with the rematch. I think a lot of people in hockey expected this was possible to see the two best teams once again in the league face off, and here we are. Game one last season was at Sunrise. That's the difference this year. Sergei Bobrovsky had a shutout in that game. If he does that tonight, he'll become the second goalie ever to have 8-1 shutouts twice in a Stanley Cup career. So meanwhile, on the ice this morning, as you see the morning skate one final time, been a long week or so. Panthers is finishing off that series against Carolina. A lot of it has been good, certainly getting rest, but a lot of it's been that waiting game, understanding what they will face here at Edmonton, and Oilers team they beat last season in that 7-game series. So much fun to live through, and all the excitement from the players last week. I'm not sure if it was fun, like the fans. They're just ready to go.
Finally, it's over. Obviously, it was a week of a little rest and getting ready for this series. So we're excited to get going. Finally, we had 1 week of time to refocus and think about what's coming. So now we know what to expect. Like obviously, every single game is going to be a battle.
Yeah, we all remember the battle of last year, that 7-game series, the rematch here. Like, there was so much good in that series, so many great memories. There were some bad memories for me, though. I think you may remember last year, to make it to Edmonton for Game 3, I had some minor delays, and then I had some lost luggage. So because of it, today I actually get to wear the suit I wanted to wear, unlike last year's first game here at Edmonton. Let me take you back, though, just in case you forgot. My suitcase didn't make it. I'm not going to no. So I had to go to a store this morning. What do you think? I bought it this morning. I feel like a 1975 broadcaster. I'm coming to you from Canada as we got a big hockey game tonight. And I'm coming to you from Canada once again for a big hockey game tonight. Guys, what do you think? I brought the good luck jacket last year. The first time I've worn it since last year, my $75 jacket I've got with me here. Because there were some people in the Panthers organization who said, wait a minute, that was good luck. So you got to do it again. So I made sure to bring the jacket. Still fits. Still looks good, I think. So I have it here for good luck. If the Panthers win, it was all me in the jacket. If the Panthers lose, this has nothing to do with it.
Well, you move too quickly. You got to pop a button. So just stand right there. I'm telling you.
Look at that fit.
You see the stitching coming.
Like I love
the back right there.
That's good stuff.
Made by Walmart. Okay, thanks a lot. Hopefully it's a lucky jacket. We're hoping it wins. I know. Okay. And by the way, congrats on your daughter as well. Congratulations. You saw that on IG.
Thank you. Thanks for mentioning Ashley. My daughter graduated from high school yesterday, which is the reason why I came up today on this trip. So everything worked out. I got to see graduation. I'm here on time. It's a beautiful jacket. So congrats to Ashley.
Red-eye light there.
It was all worth it.
It was all worth it.
Thanks a lot for that. All right, see you soon. Time now for your tropical update.
Hurricane specialist and storm surge expert Michael Lari is here to show us what he's watching. Michael.
And Nicole, about every other year we would expect to get some sort of tropical system formed during the first few weeks.
And we do apologize for that technical mistake. Michael, we're going to come back to you in the next half hour. Hopefully we can check in with you and get your audio corrected. But still ahead, a former top executive at Jackson Health now facing federal criminal charges.
Coming up at 5 o'clock, more on what we're learning about those charges as she makes a court appearance.
And at 4:30, Palmetto Beach City Commission is starting to look at how much it would cost to cut ties with the Broward Sheriff's Office.
But first, an elderly woman arrested for pepper spraying her neighbor's young children.
You're watching Nicole Perez and Calvin Hughes
The one and only Local 10 News.
Welcome back to Florida. Woman arrested last week after allegedly pepper spraying her neighbors, including 2 little girls.
Local 10's Eden Checkles in the newsroom with more on her arrest. Eden. Nicole Calvin, the 81-year-old Ocala woman, now faces charges of battery, and the victim is concerned for her safety. 81-year-old Ada Anderson found herself in handcuffs last Friday, accused of pepper spraying her neighbors, April Morant, and her 3- and 6-year-old daughters, allegedly over something pretty small.
Bubbles, literally. She literally, the bubbles put her, I guess, in a whole other arena, whatever's going on with her mind.
Morant says her daughters were playing with bubbles in their yard, well away from the fence that separates their properties, when she alleges Anderson shouted racial slurs and leaned over the fence holding onto something.
What in my head is I thought she had a gun, so I really kind of jumped, like it startled me. She was over the fence like this, and I didn't know what was in her hand, so I was looking at her really quick, and then she sprayed it.
According to the police report, they believe it was pepper spray.
My 6-year-old, she was like, her nose went to burning. She ran to the house and got a bottle of water.
Morant says she's had problems with Anderson since she moved with her family to the neighborhood in November. But
I feel like she's escalating.
She says Anderson, on multiple occasions, has hurled insults and racial slurs at them.
Since day one. I have recordings of her.
She shared this video, where someone can be heard saying a racial slur. Anderson seemed to try and defend herself in body cam video from her arrest.
You really don't have any right doing this. When I get the pictures back, I can show
show you what they're doing.
According to jail records, Anderson has been released on bond facing several counts of battery, second or subsequent offense. Morant thought there would be more.
The battery, but no thing on the kids or maybe a hate crime, like that you said, all this stuff are your friends.
Morant says she's worried it won't stop there.
For you to do the bear spray stuff, like I feel like I don't know what you have in that house. I don't know. Like I don't want to be by her.
Morant wants to get a restraining order. She's also raising money to move. Calvin?
Okay, thanks. Well, I'm going to take you back now for that tropical update. Got some audio issues, but we're hoping that they are corrected.
Let's check in with Hurricane Specialist and Storm Surge expert Michael Lowry. Michael?
Yeah, Nicole, as I was saying, when we look to the tropics this time of year,
Oye, mamá, ya para.
the first few weeks of June, these are the formation points going back to record.
Oye, silencio.
You can see the collection of points here in the we have been watching an area of low pressure along an old frontal system that brought us all of that severe weather and flooding earlier this week. That low pressure area is forming along a stall front. It's going to lift to the north, but unlike what we saw yesterday and day before, we think this low pressure area is going to stay over land. As long as it's over land, it's not going to have any chance of forming. It's going to stay frontal, going to stay non-tropical, and going to be swept out to sea as we get to the weekend by an approaching cold front. So no development expected here across the tropics in the next 7 days with all of this dust really just laying in over the Atlantic. Stick with us. We're going to have more news and weather coming up on Local 10 after.
Right now, outside Hollywood Beach Cabin. Oh yes, the sun is back, but the humidity is too as well.
I'll take the sun over the rain because that rain was driving me crazy, Brandon.
It was nonstop yesterday. We didn't catch a break. We've got a lot of it too, and it doesn't matter where you were. If you were in Broward, Miami-Dade, and down into the Keys, we all had some pretty extreme rainfall totals over the last 3 days alone. Look at Cutler Bay, nearly 8 inches of rain there. Same case in Deerfield Beach, up in Broward, all the way down to Key Largo. Nearly 7.5 inches of rain there. So especially along the coastline is where we saw most of it. It's definitely putting a huge dent in our drought. I think we can call this almost a drought-busting sort of rainfall here along the East Coast. Had severe to extreme drought that was so big. We won't get an update to this drought monitor until tomorrow, but I think we're going to see a pretty big improvement. Look at the rainfall of the last 3 days coming in hot right through the middle of Miami-Dade. If there was one place that didn't see as much rain, it's these lighter blues across inland Broward County. But we're still talking about an inch and a half of rain in some of those places. Every little bit helps. We're seeing some of this rain finally start to dwindle down over towards Naples and Marco Island. It's been so persistent out here. That's kind of the rain that we had around yesterday. For us, we stayed too stable to get more pop-up showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Remember those clouds that were so thick this morning? We didn't see a lot of sun to heat us up and give us that fuel for pop-up showers and thunderstorms. So now, just now, the clouds are starting to thin out some. You got the shadows of the palm trees there. It looks nice down at the beach compared to what it did earlier for sure. Temperatures are feeling nicer down there at the beach too. 85 degrees, no 90s on the board. It's nice to say 88 is the warmest spot on the map, and that's out towards Pembroke Pines. But still, this is a good 13, 15 degrees warmer than all that rainy weather we had around yesterday. So temperatures falling through the lower 80s later on this evening. Chance of rain only at 10%. It's a stray shower too. Our model shows that potential even tomorrow morning. We get 1 or 2 stray little pop-ups. I don't think it's going to be all that much. We have some Saharan dust that has moved in. This is kind of the first plume of the season that made its way from Africa across the Atlantic. And you'll notice that slight haze into the air. It's drying out the atmosphere, giving us these lower rain chances, no more than about 10% tomorrow. Still going to be mostly cloudy. I still think we're going to keep a lot of the clouds around, kind of like today. We'll still get some filtered sunshine. That dust does thin out over the coming days. So it's kind of thickest tonight into tomorrow morning, and then we'll thin out as we get into the weekend. That's when rain chances start going back up. But really 30% on Saturday, Sunday is not much. Still mostly dry. We'll increase those rain chances more after the weekend, especially Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. That'll do it for the news at 4 o'clock.
And here's what we're working on for you now. At the bottom of the hour, Palmetto Beach City Commission members will discuss the price tag for starting its own police department.
Plus, Governor Ron DeSantis in Miami today, speaking at Miami-Dade College at the Florida Education Commissioners Summit. Those stories and more coming up on Local 10 News at 4:30.
Developing at the top of 4:30, Governor Ron DeSantis in Miami today to speak to the Florida Education Commissioners Summit.
And Local 10's Lenny Hall is joining us right now. She's in Miami with more on the address. Lenny?
Well, changes to the state's higher education system continues to be a theme in the political arena, especially this week after his former lieutenant governor was officially named president of FIU and one of his top aides selected as a top seat in the education department. Governor Ron DeSantis making an appearance at the Miami-Dade College Wolfson campus Wednesday for the Florida's Education Commissioners Summit.
We are not trying to create the imposition of ideological conformity. And that's what you see in so many different places around this country. We want our students to be able to think for themselves.
DeSantis sending a distinct message to the presidents and board members of the state's college and universities in the audience, and touting his plan to implement reforms in higher education.
These accreditation cartels have worked to create universities behaving in certain ways. I mean, the whole DE&I concept was something that was embedded in the accreditation. If you weren't doing that, then they would threaten to pull your accreditation.
So Governor Ron DeSantis continues to defend his decision to defund DEI initiatives, and coming up at 6, we'll hear from a college president about how it's impacting state education throughout their college and university system. Reporting live in Miami, Lenny Suka, all Local 10 News.
Lenny, thank you. And a well-known Latin music artist is now facing more charges. Chocolate MC, whose real name is Vanes Sierra, is now being charged with aggravated battery, robbery, among other charges. And last year, Sierra was arrested after he allegedly kidnapped his ex-girlfriend right outside of an apartment building and then drove her to Palm Beach County, where he then sexually assaulted her. His bond is yet to be set.
Police asking for your help to find a man who went missing in Davie over the weekend. 30-year-old Hunter Gutierrez went missing Sunday around midnight. His family believes he was last seen in Plantation Sunday around 6 to 7 p.m. He's about 5'11". His family says he walks with a limp or a unique gait. He was last seen wearing a dark blue t-shirt and gray shorts.
Bubba, you need to come home.
We need you home. Everybody wants you home.
Miss, buddy. Devastated, want to home. Want to be able to take care of whatever he's feeling and work from there.
Hunter's family says many factors could have contributed to Hunter leaving, including the anniversary of his brother's death. Again, police are asking those in Broward County to check ring cameras, including businesses in the area.
And next, a safety alert is out of Miami, where a teacher and her husband are facing child abuse charges. Officers arresting Sharon Larson and her husband, Peter Larson, on Monday. According to investigators, the couple's home made dozens of drug sales right in front of their 17-year-old daughter. Officers found more than 1,400 grams of meth, fentanyl mixture, along with cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl pills. Sharon Larson appearing visibly shaken in Bond Court yesterday.
According to the arrest affidavit, she's a teacher. Her husband's dealing drugs out of the house while their 17-year-old is present.
Now, officers say Sharon Larson worked as a music teacher at Golden Glades Elementary School. That school district says they have started termination proceedings right away.
And developing now, we're learning the latest on the fatal stabbing in Fort Lauderdale. Investigators have identified the suspect as 35-year-old Jamal Johnson. Yesterday, Johnson allegedly stabbed the victim on the 100 block of South Andrews Avenue. The victim was rushed to Broward Health Medical Center, where he later died. Johnson appearing before a judge today, where he faces murder charges and is currently being held with no bond.
Pompano Beach's City Commission has actually started to explore potential options for starting their own police department.
And it's not the first time they've had this discussion. Local 10's crime specialist Bridget Madden out in Pompano Beach with details on this. Bridget.
This was discussed about 15 years ago, but of course it never happened. Now the commission is discussing the possibility of creating its own police department and breaking away from BSO. The city of Pompano Beach is considering breaking away from the Broward County Sheriff's Office and creating its own police department. In February, city commissioners discussed the first steps, getting quotes to hire a consultant to give the city a better idea of cost of what it would take to create the Pompano Beach Police Department. For 25 years, the city of Pompano Beach has been under BSO. Commissioners are split on the issue.
I don't think it's a good idea.
to sever with BSO.
Commissioner Audrey Fessick said after a recent tour, given the amount of money spent with BSO, hospital facilities are not up to par.
If you were to take a tour of their facilities, I believe it was said best that sometimes when it rains outside, it also rains inside their building.
Mayor Rex Harden says overall, BSO does a great job for the city.
I think BSO does a great job for us. They have for many years. Yeah, is it perfect? No, of course not. Nothing is. I mean, nobody is. Let's face it.
Mayor Harden said in a statement to Local 10, the commissioners also want to consider costs and recommended service levels to consider the alternative of creating a new City of Pompano Beach Police Department. We reported in 2022, after 41 years, Pembroke Park broke away from BSO. Commissioner Rhonda Segerson.
I am aware of another city recently in Broward County. I'm not going to name that city that just went out and left BSO to get their own police force. And I'm not exactly sure the number, but in an estimate, it's costing them way more per year than they anticipated.
Like Pembroke Park, Pompano Beach would have to purchase everything from guns to cars, infrastructure, personnel, salaries, and more. According to the City of Pompano Beach budget, the cost to stay under BSO rose dramatically from $53 million in 2022 to $63 million in 2025. The most recent proposal from BSO for 2026 increased again to $72 million.
And we want to make it clear that no decisions have been made. This is simply an evaluation to see what it would look like. There is a meeting tomorrow to review consultant proposals. For now, we're live in Pompano Beach. Bridget Matter, Local 10 News.
Okay, Bridget, thank you. Scott Tender, news breaking news in Lauderdale having police activity as BSO responds to reports of a shooting. This is at 2640 Northwest 43rd Terrace. We're looking to get more information, and we do have a crew headed to that scene.
And now to the city of Miami, where the city commission is set to vote on whether or not to skip this year's election, deciding whether voters will head to the polls instead in 2025 or 2026. Local 10's Leanne Motorhome is joining us right now. She's in Miami with the very latest. Leanne.
So this is one of two items that were put forth by Commissioner Damian Pardo. This particular one we're about to talk about talks about when the election is going to take place. He says it became necessary after he presented an item about term limits, but those who are actually running for seats either on the commission or as mayor for this coming election don't see eye to eye with the commissioner on this one. The Miami City Commission is set to vote on an ordinance during next week's commission meeting. The item, sponsored by Commissioner Damian Pardo, would change the date of the next city election from November of this year to November of next year, and shift all subsequent elections by 1 year moving forward.
So it's something we should do. It's popular. We know. Ideally, we would love for voters to vote on it, but we don't need to. We know. We polled on it. People have been asking us for this.
Pardo says he wants the city's elections to move to even years to match up with national elections and more voters head to the polls.
If you're thinking about what is best for the city of Miami, you'd be hard-pressed not to agree with this.
The move would also mean that current city commissioners would stay in office another year, including the term-limited Joe Carroyo and Mayor Francis Suarez.
It's totally different if the people, the residents, were saying, hey, let's switch this election, and they can actually go out there and prove to someone how many residents signed a petition to move it. But that's not what's taking place in this case.
Michael Hepburn is one of the candidates running for mayor of Miami.
Nice to meet you.
And this letter to the commission opposing the measure. He says if the proposal comes to pass, he'll use civil rights attorney Ben Crump to take legal action against the city.
I think this is a violation of multiple avenues of civil rights, concept of just overbearing government, not even using the ballot initiative to get feedback from the people that actually live in the city.
I think naturally anyone running wouldn't want to see this pass because it changes their landscape.
And we also talked about that other item on the commission agenda that referred to term limits. We'll dive into that a little deeper coming up on Local 10 News at 5:30. Both of those items are on the commission agenda for their meeting on June 12th. Reporting live in Miami, Leanne Motorhome, Local 10 News.
All right, keep us updated. Thank you, Leanne. The Panthers now listen 4 hours of drop. But in the Stanley Cup final.
Oh, it is county, right? The rematch between the Panthers and the Oilers is on, and local 10's Casey Hintz is joining us live. She's in Edmonton with the very latest. Casey, I know everybody's excited about this one.
Yeah, so excited so that a little bit earlier in the show, I was counting down just 2 hours of puck drop. Now, we still have a little bit more time, but yes, a lot of excitement here in Edmonton. And when you talk about Panthers forward Matthew Tkachuk, he said, we're the two best teams, and it's not even up for debate. And boy, how lucky are we that we are getting the Panthers and the Oilers in a rematch, just the 5th time in modern NHL history that we're seeing a rematch in the Stanley Cup final. And then, of course, for the Cats, this is a 3rd straight trip to this big stage. And this team, though, is having a very business-like attitude. They know that the first trip in 2023, the moment was maybe a little too big for them. They lost to Las Vegas, so they come back next year and they win the whole thing for the franchise's first Stanley Cup. So that's kind of where they're at this year, that business-like mentality. But they also know just how hard it is to get here, and they're not taking that for granted.
It's what makes the Stanley Cup the hardest trophy to win in sports. Like, you have to go through the best teams, and here we are again. So it's a credit to both of us for getting back here. It's such a hard thing to do.
Long road once again to get to this point, and once again it's against Edmonton. So it's great. Like, we had a great series last year, went all the way to Game 7. Can't wait to get this one going again.
Now, despite being defending Stanley Cup champions, Matthew Tkachuk says they're looking at themselves as the underdogs. Why? Well, because this year Edmonton has home ice advantage. He said they earned that, so they've got to kind of take advantage of it. But here's the thing: Panthers have been pretty good on the road, 8-2 this postseason away from home. But the Oilers are 6-1 here at home, so something's got to give tonight, guys. Hopefully, of course, it's the Panthers keeping that road streak going.
Hey, Casey, I'm loving the strategy. I think that gives you kind of an edge if you watch that.
엄마, 이 세상이요? 엄마, 어머, 이 세상이요? 아직 엄마가 된지요. 이제 판 되잖아. No, ya está lleno. Gaibo, ay niño. Ya yo sufro ese cuello. Ya, y no se puta, huevo. Y no se puta, huevo. Like a high city. Y ya tú te. Ya. Ajá, y ya se puta, huevo. Ya me voy, no sé.
And unfortunately, all that traffic is going to, you can see how congested it is at this time. If we zoom right into our maps, we're going to get a better idea of just how slow traffic is moving. I-95 northbound, again, this is at Northwest 62nd Street. We've got those 2 right lane blocks, and you're moving it just 9 miles per hour. Then we've got to watch this one on I-95 in Fort Lauderdale. This is going to be as you're heading southbound right at Broward Boulevard, a very busy area. This is going to have a right lane blocked, and your speed's not looking as bad as it is in Miami, but it's still going to be slow for you, clocking in at 25 miles per hour.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for the warning out there, Denise. And Port St. Lucie police arresting a man who allegedly entered a home, snapped a photo of a woman as she was getting out of the shower. 27-year-old Darian James Baker, originally from right here in Miami, is now being charged with both burglary and attempted burglary. Detectives sharing photos of that suspect as he was running away from the house. He was taken into custody about 24 hours later. Detectives say they also have surveillance footage of him trying to open a locked front door of a residence that was nearby.
Police in Ormond Beach looking for a man who they say pointed a gun at workers inside a restaurant. Surveillance photos show the suspect holding a weapon inside the business. One of the people threatened is under the age of 18. Detectives say they are looking for 25-year-old Anthony Rodriguez, who has a warrant out on 4 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Ormond Beach Police Department.
And now to a special event that was happening in Cooper City earlier today. 100 Holocaust survivors for Holocaust Survivor Day. That event was hosted by the Jewish Family Services of Broward County and helped 13 Holocaust survivors celebrate that special milestone in their lives, turning 100 years old. But the event also was aimed to honor the stories of survival and perseverance.
Well,
Okay, we're having some trouble with our sound right now, but we'll try to get that for you a bit later on. The celebration comes, here it goes.
But
whole family except for an aunt were killed. And my aunt, who I thought was my mother, went and found me and raised me. And I didn't know I was adopted until my parents passed away. And then I found out my aunt was my aunt and not my biological mother.
Like the story there, this celebration comes after the recent attacks against the Jewish community in Colorado and in D.C. The message today, though, centering all about hope, resilience. And still ahead here at 5, a former top official at Jackson Memorial Health arrested.
More on the charges she's now facing as she makes a court appearance.
But first, a Volusia mother arrested along with her teenager accused of creating an alibi for him.
Plus, more on how wastewater is now being used to track measles infections coming back.
You're watching Christy Kruger and Lilia Geary on the one and only Local 10 News.
Forward on to Volusia County, where new arrests have been made in a stabbing attack on a teenager.
And Calvin Hughes is joining us live. He's in our newsroom now with more on the arrest.
Lori Christie, these arrests stem from the stabbing of a 13-year-old that happened last month in Deltona.
AJ, it's the sheriff's office. We got a warrant for your arrest. Your mother was just arrested at Perkins.
15-year-old Eden White was arrested and charged in the May 14th attack that the Volusia Sheriff's Office says was allegedly a form of retaliation from a fight that happened a few days earlier. Detectives interviewed several people to find the suspect. His mother, 33-year-old Kayla Cobb, was also taken into custody on charges of giving false information to law enforcement.
His mother was just taken into custody moments ago
for coming up with an elaborate alibi that she handed to detectives. But there was one problem with their alibi. This gave AJ up. His cell phone gave him up.
Well, the day after that attack, a 13-year-old middle school student was arrested on a charge of principal to aggravated battery. I'll send it back to you both in the studio.
All right, thanks, Calvin. Let's take a look outside from our cameras right now. This one, it's getting a little bit better. I mean, it's getting drier out there.
At least there's no rain. So we're looking forward to that. Looking forward to the weekend with those reduced rain chances. It's going to be hot, though. Hi, Ben.
It is going to be hot. We're cranking up the heat when we turn down those rain chances, too. This was that same camera shortly before 7 o'clock this morning. Had some rain on the lens. The drive into work was probably not the best looking drive, but I think the drive home this evening is looking a whole lot better. We can see some breaks in the clouds, some sun shining through. Finally, it's about time we got rid of most of that rain. It's moved all the way over to the west coast. Naples getting in on it now. But even that's starting to thin out. You don't see as many yellows showing up. So intensity is dropping off over there too. It's just we got in on it much earlier with the breaks in the clouds and Saharan dust moving in. You can tell from that haziness that's out there too. That helped dry out the atmosphere and get those clouds to break up somewhat. 85 in Miami right now. Some inland spots been making up to 88 so far. 88 in Pembroke Pines, but with the clouds lasting much of the day today, we really didn't get to take full advantage of peak heating and stayed away from the 90s. Completely fine with that because you know it's coming back in the 7-day forecast. Not much to speak of tonight, though. Chance of rain at 10%. Could pick up a stray light shower, too. These would be small showers. So we could wake up to 1 or 2 of those in the morning. You see a few of those popping up. Doesn't look like it's going to be a big deal tomorrow. Many of us will end up staying dry. It is going to be mostly cloudy. So just a heads up for that. It's going to be kind of like it is out there right now, where we're getting filtered sun, but it's not a full blue sky. It's still going to be fine. We're not putting up with the rain like the last couple of days. That Saharan dust that's moving in and that haze is actually thickest right now into the first part of tomorrow, and then trends down to just average levels, and then eventually low levels going into next week. So it's not a major first push of Saharan dust. It's just more of a typical push that we usually see this time of the year. We'll wait and see if we get any stronger pushes later this month. Otherwise, this weekend, 30% coverage of showers and thunderstorms. It's what you'd expect for this time of the year. 91 degrees, that's what Louis talked about, the heat making a comeback. It's a couple degrees above average. We'll get a few showers and thunderstorms popping up, but our average high temperature now just climbed from 88 to 89 degrees. So this is only a couple of degrees above average. I'd say really hot for this time of the year is pushing about 94, 95. That's when we get to our kind of our upper limit. And we don't have any of that in the 7-day forecast. No higher than about 90, 91. So typical heat is how we can phrase it into next week. Rain chances do increase, but not until after the weekend. You see Monday, 40%, 50%, some bigger afternoon showers and thunderstorms early next week.
Okay. Brandon.
And in our health headlines today, as measles cases continue to rise all across the United States, researchers are using sewage wastewater to track the virus. Now, that may sound familiar to you because it's the same kind of testing that scientists did during the COVID pandemic. Sewage was tested for virus particles, and that helps to identify the early signs of increasing transmission. The new program is available for use at dozens of wastewater treatment plants in 40 different states. Health experts hope that early detection, along with highly effective vaccines, will help curb the current uptick in cases. Meantime, a CDC official who oversaw updates to the agency's COVID-19 recommendations has now announced she is stepping down. That announcement comes after HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. passed an order to force an update to the agency's guidance. The committee had been set to vote on an updated recommendation sometime this month, but that actually went out the door because Robert Kennedy decided to impose his own changes to the guidance himself.
In today's consumer news, private sector hiring appears to be slowing down. The company ADP released its new employment report revealing private sector firms only added 37,000 jobs in May. That is down from 60,000 in April and significantly lower than the 130,000 jobs projected. ADP says that 37,000 is the lowest monthly total since March of 2023. President Trump quickly responded to the report via social media, urging Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates.
Coming up next, a historic landing in New York.
Or on the electric plane that made its first flight. Finally, at 4:30, history was made today at John F. Kennedy International Airport.
It is the first all-electric airplane to carry passengers to a commercial airport. The plane from Beta Technologies flew 45 minutes from East Hampton to JFK. Kyle Clark, who founded that company, flew that plane all by himself. He said it only took about $8 worth of electricity to make that journey.
How about that? Let's scale that, huh? More than the planes up in the air.
Pretty
That would be
cool.
something, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Reduce our carbon emission rally, right? Right at my house, yes. Like yesterday even.
Right now at 5 o'clock, Foundation fraud, a former COO facing a federal judge. What we're now learning about the alleged crime, the Jackson Health Foundation executive committed.
And fierce flames you saw first on 10 what possibly sparked this fire on the water.
Breaking news, a crane collapsing at a construction site in Merritt Island, the scene turning deadly.
And President Trump putting more pressure to quickly pass his so-called big, beautiful bill, the uphill battle in the Senate.
Plus, chasing the cup, the Panthers just hours away from dropping the puck on the Stanley Cup final rematch. We're live in Edmonton. The news at 5 starts now.
Now we begin with breaking news. The 5 o'clock now, heavy police activity in Lauderhill.
And Eden is in the newsroom with the breaking details. Eden, Nicole Calvin, police responding to a shooting call in Lauderhill. We're working to confirm that, but we want to take you to live pictures from Sky 10 right now. The address for this is 2640 Northwest 43rd Terrace. This is a residential area, as you can see right there, with homes and apartments. It's west of State Road 7 and east of the Turnpike, just south of Oakland Park Boulevard. And from the air, we can see a street that is currently blocked off. Crime scene tape and a large response from law enforcement and fire rescue. The initial call to police was that 2 people had been shot, and I'm hearing that our Samir Nefsi has made it to the scene. So, Samir, I'm going to send it over to you. What are you seeing? What can you tell us right now?
Yeah, and hey there, Eden. So right now we are in an apartment complex here in the Lauderhill area. From the ground, you can see that police activity, as mentioned. Of course, we have some officers over here. Now, from Sky 10, you can kind of see the majority of the scene over there. From here, not so much, but we can tell you a lot of police crime scene tape just off in the distance over here surrounding a secondary apartment complex. But as mentioned, if we just pan on over, we can, of course, send it on up to Sky 10 following reports of a shooting that took place earlier today. Very much still active investigation. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Okay, Samir, thank you. We'll check back in with you in a bit. Foundation fraud, the former COO of the Jackson Health Foundation facing serious charges, accused of embezzling millions of dollars.
And we are now learning more about how Charmaine Gatlin allegedly carried out the scheme. Local 10's Glenda Milberg is live now from Miami with the new details revealed in the indictment. Glenda.
And this actually was the first time Charmaine Gatlin was back in South Florida. She lives in Georgia now. To be in federal court, the judge read her rights. He read her those charges. Afterwards, we asked her if she had nothing to say about those accusations that she took millions from the medically needy she was supposed to be raising money for.
She now drives back and forth from her home in Georgia to face justice. Charmaine Gatlin, Jackson Health's former foundation boss, charged with laundering the millions donated for the medically needy and wounded and sick children, those depending on Miami-Dade's public health safety net. The indictment shows she had co-conspirators. At least 3 companies, prosecutors allege, helped her fake invoices for merchandise and services Jackson never got, but she did. She would submit the false invoices to the foundation to pay and then get kickbacks, money or merchandise and services for her family and also a nonprofit in Atlanta. It cost the foundation more than $3.5 million, and she received, allegedly, at least $1 million in kickbacks. Her 10-year tenure at the foundation ended last fall. She was fired when Jackson Health System found that fuzzy math and alerted federal agents.
As you see, Gatlin is free on bond. She goes back and forth for her court dates. The only travel she is allowed to do right here, next up in about 2 weeks. So we're talking about at 6 when we see you then. The details of those spoils. A golf cart, Louis Vuitton handbag. The indictment really goes into where that money went. It's pretty unsettling when you think about those allegations, and you will hear more of that at 6 o'clock when we see you. right back here. I'm Glenn Milberg, live in Miami today, Local 10 News.
Some pricey purchases. I want to thank you. Fierce flames erupting in the water in Fort Lauderdale. A fire tore through a 50-foot sailboat dock behind a home off Whale Harbor Lane this morning. Firefighters seen aggressively battling the blaze, quickly knocking it down with foam and water before it was able to spread to nearby homes and other docked boats. Nearby residents first heard the fire alarm sound, saw the fire, and then called 911.
I hear the alarm. I said, go in the box. I said, come out, check it, come on. God, the boat is on fire. I said, oh my gosh.
There was no one on board the vessel and no one at home where it's docked. Fort Lauderdale Fire Rescue said the cause of the fire is under investigation by the State Fire Marshal's Office and FWC.
We have new breaking news across Florida now. A train collapsing, killing 2 people.
Plus a plane catching fire off Melbourne Beach. Janice is in the newsroom with the latest breaking details. Janice.
A lot going on throughout Florida. We're going to get straight to that video. First, starting with this, we are learning 2 people are dead after a crane collapses in Merritt Island, Florida. Now, according to deputies, that crane collapsed around 3 p.m. at a construction site of the new hospital. They say the 2 people killed were construction workers. And right now, we're going to show you drone video of that collapse to give you that bird's eye view where you can see that crane actually fell on top of a work vehicle. While we don't know what caused this collapse, we do know that there were high winds and rain in the area earlier today. And we're also following this breaking news, a single-engine plane crashing in the Indian River in Melbourne. 2 people were on board along with a dog. But here's the good news. All made it out safely. They made it to shore, and they are reportedly in good condition. Now, we don't know what caused this plane to go down, but that 4-seater plane, as you can see right there, is currently submerged with only the tail seen from above the water. I'll send it back to you guys.
Janice, thank you. Turning now to the weather, where it has been a much drier day. It appears we're turning the corner. What a difference compared to what we saw earlier this week.
And let's check in now with our chief certified meteorologist, Betty Davis.
I bet a lot of us have cabin fever at this point. How's it going? Great to see you, and things are definitely changing. Here's a look at the Doppler radar now. We are dry over Broward, Dade, and the Keys. A few showers and storms on the Gulf side. That should avoid us for the rest of the afternoon and tonight. What you're seeing as an overlay in the color of brown, that represents dust. So some hair dust has made it into the area, and that will help keep our rain chances low through the afternoon, through the evening hours as well. If you've been outside, you may notice sort of that hazy hue to the air. That's just evidence of the dust in the area. Current temperature, by the way, in Miami is 87 degrees. That dust is going to stick around as we head through the rest of the week, and as it does, our rain chances will stay on the lower side. But let's revisit all that rain that we got. Our certified meteorologist, Brandon Orr, is standing by with a closer look at what the numbers look like. Brandon, this was quite the rain episode for South Florida.
Yeah, we've been asking for this rain for how long now? Because we've been stuck in that drought. This is the drought monitor before that rain moved in. Severe to extreme drought, pretty much area-wide across South Florida. Now, look at the rainfall estimates by radar in those same exact areas. So the areas that needed all the big rains actually got it. With some of those areas picking up more than a half a foot of rain and some of those red shadings. Check out some of the highest rainfall totals we had around South Florida. Some places more than 7 inches of rain, like Cutler Bay, even Deerfield Beach up in Broward County. Some much needed rain, but it looks like we have a break for now. That's coming up in Betty's 7-day forecast ahead.
Okay, thanks a lot to Brandon. President Trump's dramatically increased tariffs on steel and aluminum took effect overnight.
This is the president says he spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin about Ukraine's drone attacks. Our D.C. Bureau Chief Ben Kennedy is live in the White House with all the latest. Ben?
Nicole and Calvin, in his high-stakes phone call, Trump said Putin told him that, yes, he will respond to Ukraine's drone attack, prompting peace talks to be put on hold. In a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today, President Trump said they discussed the recent attack by Ukraine. When drones targeted 4 Russian military airfields and destroyed dozens of warplanes, crippling nuclear-capable bombers. On social media, Trump said Putin told him very strongly that he will have to respond to the recent attack on the airfields, adding their conversation will not be one that will lead to immediate peace. Meanwhile, the commander-in-chief signed an executive order to double steel and aluminum tariffs on America's trading partners from 25 to 50%, which took effect today.
If you don't have steel,
the levy is authorized under a 1962 law designed to protect national security. It aims to counter low-priced foreign material that Trump says undermines U.S. manufacturers.
Is unafraid to use tariffs to protect our industries and protect our workers.
But economists warn the higher tax could raise prices prices from cars to cans to washing machines. As the EU's trade commissioner adds, this increased tax does not help trade negotiations.
The consultations on the countermeasures are ongoing. They will be completed very soon.
As the nation's neighbors also reacted to Trump's latest round of tariffs.
Why don't we have a goal together and say we're going to produce more steel with America and Canada, and we're going to create 250,000 steel jobs. That's what we need to do rather than penalize Canada.
Ford is now urging Canada's Prime Minister to bump up their tariffs on U.S. steel and aluminum by 25%, which he said would even things out. That's all counting.
Okay, Ben, thanks a lot. And looking now at the closing numbers on Wall Street, the Dow down not very much today at 91 points today, closing at 42,427.
Well, lawmakers in Washington are digging in for a fight over President Trump's massive policy bill. This comes as new estimates from the Congressional Budget Office show the bill is expected to add nearly $2.5 trillion to the federal deficit. Our Ross Ketchke is live outside the White House with the latest. Ross?
Yeah, Florida Senator Rick Scott is one of the senators who've raised some concerns over the potential price tag for this bill, and now one of President Trump's closest allies is even speaking out firmly against it.
What I'm concerned about is they didn't cut enough spending.
What President Trump calls his big, beautiful bill is facing a big challenge in the Senate, with a growing list of Republicans raising issues over the price tag.
I don't want to be critical of the bill. I want to take something that's fundamentally sound project, make it better to get the 51 votes we need in the Senate.
The bill extends tax cuts and funds the president's biggest policy goals, including an immigration crackdown. A new report from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates it would add around $2.5 trillion to the national deficit over the next decade. Just days after leaving the Trump administration, Elon Musk tearing into the spending plan, today calling on Congress to kill the bill. Meanwhile, Democrats calling it an attack on health care, with estimates showing it could force nearly 11 million people off their coverage.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's the intention of the Republican bill.
The president pressed hard to get the bill through the House, where it only passed by a single vote. Now senators will have to strike a careful balance, only able to lose a few Republicans if they hope to get it passed.
You all heard my metaphor of crossing the Grand Canyon on a piece of dental floss here, they can't look me down on either side.
And for the last few days, the White House has been pushing back hard against those debt projections, essentially calling into question the math that was used to calculate just how expensive this new bill could potentially be and the implications for the federal deficit over the next few years. There were some Republican senators set to come here to the White House today. They're going to be working on that path forward with the president to try to find out exactly how the Republican majority might be able to get this bill passed.
Yeah, so much controversy and so much hesitancy within the GOP to get this bill passed. But Ross, what about the DOGE cuts made across the federal government, allegedly by Elon Musk? How do they fit into all of this?
Yeah, that's a process that's going to have to be handled a little bit separately from the tax and spending bill. The White House did just send over the first round of DOGE cuts to Congress. If Congress could approve it, they could be made permanent. But just for a bit of perspective here, that first round of cuts, only about $9 billion to things like public broadcasting and U.S. foreign aid. It's really only a drop in the bucket when you compare it to the potentially trillions of dollars in deficit from the tax and spending bill. Live outside the White House, Ross Ketchke, Local 10 News.
Ross, thank you. Chasing the cup now, the Florida Panthers are just a few hours away from the start of the Stanley Cup Final.
Oh, yes, and the Cats are going to begin in enemy territory. Local 10 Sports Director Will Manso in enemy territory right now at Edmonton with a preview. Will.
Calvin Cole is enemy territory we know very well from last year. What a series it was in that Stanley Cup Final. Of course, the Panthers winning it in 7 games tonight. The stage set. Yeah, they got the towels with the Let's Go Oilers. The fans here have been waiting a year to get this opportunity again, especially to face the Panthers again. They'll get that crack tonight with the home ice advantage. Game 1 tonight. Panthers were on the ice behind me here for a morning skate to get ready. We talked about it at 4 o'clock. That week off. It's beneficial certainly to get rest, but when you're playing as well as the Panthers were playing, they just want to get back on this ice and get back to the action. And what they'll see is Connor McDavid, the Oilers, and talented team they saw last season, and a crowd they saw last season as well, which quite frankly might be the best crowd as far as an opponent going in and having to deal with those fans. The excitement level is at a 10, and players know that.
It's great. It's super loud. They're really good fans. They support their team. So you come in here and your ears are ringing. So that means playoff hockey is here. And yeah, it's super loud building to play in great atmosphere.
As you see the empty seats right now, that will not be the case in a few hours. It will be packed. It will be loud. And of course, we're always going to tell you sunrise is the best because it is. Being in that Panthers home crowd is amazing. But as an opponent, you feed off that energy. Casey talked about it earlier about how well the Panthers have played on the road. They're a weird team. This is what a championship team does right. They actually feed off that energy. They want that energy. They want that loud, and they're going to get that loud. This crowd will be hyped, and so will we. We're ready to go. We'll continue to preview Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final throughout the news here tonight. That's a story from Edmonton. I'm Will Manso, local Panthers.
Of course, we would like to begin the final here at home, but Will, the Panthers have a good record on the road.
I mean, you're talking about 8 of their last 10 on the road, and there's something about being on the road that they love. They showed it last year as well. They were able to come in here and win as well. So it's an opportunity that they relish, and I guess it's just what being a championship team is all about.
Yeah, they cannot go down, though, like they did against the Maple Leafs. That is for sure. Thanks a lot there, Will.
No, it's not the fourth one.
All right, thanks a lot. Well, time now for your topical updates.
Hurricane specialist and storm surge expert Michael Lowry is here to show us what he's watching. Michael.
Hey, Nicole, hurricane season officially starting on Sunday, June 1st, but only about once every dozen years do we actually see a hurricane the first 2 weeks of the hurricane season. This is where those tropical systems form. 80% of them are usually tropical depressions, tropical storms. On the weaker side, and you can see closer into home is where they typically form, sometimes along old frontal boundaries, and that's what we've been tracking this week. We have a stalled front that brought us some weather and continues to bring us a little bit of weather, at least areas to our north in the Florida Peninsula. That low pressure is forming along the front. That's what we were tracking if you were with us the last few days. The Hurricane Center gave us a 10% chance of development on Monday, but has since basically gotten rid of those altogether. I put this at a 0% odds development. The reason why is that this low pressure area is going to stay over land. A few days ago, it looked like maybe it would skirt over the water, have a chance, a small chance of developing, but it's going to get quickly whisked out to sea by this cold front that's approaching from the west. So that's going to not cause a problem for anyone, certainly for us here in South Florida. Otherwise, as Betty mentioned at the top of the broadcast, all of that dust that has infiltrated us all the way here in South Florida, that's going to keep the Atlantic quiet, it looks like, through the next 7 days. Back to you.
Okay, thanks a lot there, Michael. Good to see you as well. Coming up on Local 10 News at 6, deputy debates.
Could a Broward City cut ties with BSO? What Pompano Beach officials are now considering.
And still ahead at 5:30, a frightened fan never thought this would happen when he met a well-known rapper. The wild series of events in this crime alert.
And after the break, race to the rescue. Cameras catching the moment police in Tampa rushed to save a child and his father after a wild wreck.